Good afternoon. My name is Rafael Anchia, A-N-C-H-I-A. I'm a state representative from Dallas, and
Now you know why we don't do things out here.
the immediate past chair of the Mexican-American Legislative Caucus in the Texas Legislature. I'm joined here by my colleagues representing the major caucuses of the state legislature rather, both current and immediate past chairs. We wanted to bring leaders from Texas together to share ideas and experiences with Governor Newsom, and he was so gracious to host us, along with members of Congress today, to discuss two major points. And the first thing I want to point out is we shared ideas and experiences on how the big ugly bill is impacting both of our states. This is a major point of commonality because while Texas Democrats and California Democrats may be a little bit different, we're all Americans. And we represent constituents that are being hurt by Trump's big, ugly bill. The next thing we wanted to do is share ideas and experiences with the governor about Texas redistricting and brief him on the state of play on what's occurring in Texas. And it should be no surprise to anybody who covers Texas that every decade since 1970, Texas has been found to discriminate against people of color in its redistricting process. We wanted to share with the governor the history of that redistricting and bring him up to speed on Trump's effort to rig elections in the state of Texas and change the outcome on the backs of black and brown Texans who have accounted for 96% of all the growth in the state of Texas. Communities of color, I will repeat it again, have accounted for 96% of all the growth in the state of Texas, yet the Trump redistricting plan seeks to dismantle historic and important districts represented by African Americans and Latinos, where African and American and Latino communities have been able to elect the candidates of their choice historically. In trying to do this, it is going to cause great harm, not only to the people that we represent, to the voters of the state of Texas, but also potentially to all Americans. Voy a ofrecer unos comentarios en español para los medios que están aquí haciendo cobertura y vamos a estar dispuestos los miembros de los líderes de Texas para también darles comentarios individuales. Pero quiero enfatizar que en los dos estados de California y de Texas, el 50% de todos los latinos que viven en Estados Unidos provienen de esos dos estados. Y estamos buscando en Texas aliados como el gobernador Newsom para hablar sobre el plan del presidente Trump y cómo quiere desmantelar distritos históricos en donde hispanos han podido elegir los candidatos que prefieren, y en desmantelar esos distritos quiere hacer que haya menos representación de nuestra comunidad. Ya estamos bajo representados en el Congreso y el presidente Trump quiere ejercer este plan y hacer que nosotros tendremos una menor voz en el Congreso. Sin representación jamás vamos a poder llegar de donde estamos como una comunidad a donde queremos estar. Quiero reiterar las gracias por parte de la delegación de Texas porque hemos encontrado un gran aliado, un gran socio en el gobernador Newsom. Ahora voy a ceder el micrófono y permitirle al gobernador sus palabras. Gracias. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. Thank you. In many respects, this is an appropriate place to be with all the noise out there. Reminds me of all the noise in our politics, all the distractions, the daily discourse, the weave from one issue to the next issue, Truth Social, post on X, the intentional nature of the shock and awe that is our body politic today. And so often we lose sight of what's essential. So often we lose sight with all those distractions on what matters most. And it's what matters most that brings us here today. It's an honor to have the delegation here from Texas, an honor to have leaders from the Texas delegation representing many of the different caucuses that we here in California are familiar with. Two of the most diverse states in the world, most diverse democracy. Texas and California have so much in common. Of course, our politics is a little different. And The question I imagine many folks are asking here in California, what do the politics of Texas have to do with the politics here in California? The answer is everything. Everything now is made clear and vivid. We have an administration that wants to roll back most of the progress of the last half century. They want to put America in reverse to bring us back to a 1960s, pre-1960s world. We talked about voting rights, LGBTQ rights. We talked about the rights of women in the meeting a moment ago. We talked about everything that's at stake. Everything is at stake if we're not successful next year in taking back the House of Representatives. Of course, we want a fair playing field. We want to play the game on the terms where everybody is playing by the same set of rules. That's no longer the case. We have to disenthrall ourselves that that's the case. Not with Donald Trump, not when he made a call to the governor of Texas and talked about finding 5 additional seats so that he can try to hold the line and maintain the majority in the House of Representatives. The game has changed. They don't even want to play by the same set of rules. In fact, they just want to throw the entire board and they want to throw it all out. It is a 5-alarm fire for democracy in the United States of America. And so that's why we're here, to have the back not only of those representatives from Texas, but the people of Texas that are struggling and suffering from the same kind of assault on not just the rule of law, but this assault on democracy that binds us together as a nation. And so a threat, I think, the threat of injustice anywhere, as Dr. King said, is a threat of justice everywhere. And so we feel a connection, we feel a sense of responsibility, and we feel it's right to assert ourselves a little bit more moral clarity at this moment, using not just our moral authority, but using our formal authority. And considering, as we now have, that there is a chance to ask the voters of the state of California to reconsider their prior position. I've asked myself that same question as someone that actively supported independent redistricting, that believes it should be nationalized, but we have not seen the nationalization of independent redistricting. Things have changed, so too must we. And I believe that the people of the state of California understand what's at stake. If we don't put a stake into the heart of this administration, there may not be an election in 2028. That's how strongly I feel about this moment, and I think millions, hundreds of millions of Americans feel the same. We take Donald Trump seriously when he talks about the 2028 election. I mentioned to my friends a moment ago that I got a hat, a Trump 2028 hat from one of Donald Trump's biggest supporters, one of his biggest and most influential supporters. They're not screwing around. We cannot afford to screw around either. We have got to fight fire with fire. And I'll close on that point. What more evidence do you need in the state of California in the last just 6 months? Warrantless raids all across this state. Conditioning, threatening to condition disaster aid on the basis of politics, not on the basis of principles and the needs of people. We've seen these illegal tariffs take shape and impact this state disproportionately more than any other state. All of this is on the line. And so that's why we're here drawing not just new lines, but standing firm and trying to hold the line on democracy, our freedoms, our liberties, things that we can no longer take for granted. So I want to just thank all of you. They all flew out this morning. They recognized the stakes, and I'm very honored to have had this opportunity to dialogue, to compare notes, and to let the folks know in Texas, but also here in California, this is not an idle threat to our democracy. This is real, and we not only have the back Texans, but we may be back to the ballot here in California trying to right this wrong. With that, happy to answer any questions. Be no need. We'd have no need to move forward. Yeah. There's two paths. We're kicking, it's the right question. We're two paths. There's the cleanest path to be candidate as it relates to asking the voters that enacted this in the first place to consider the new conditions. I mean, I'm reminded of, I think it was the 1865 speech of Lincoln, who said the case is new, so we must think anew, but most importantly, we must act anew. To act the voters of the state of California to reconsider on the basis of the case being anew here in California. But the legislature is kicking the tires, and we're working with the legislature on that alternative path as well. So we're in the process of a deliberative process, very intentional process of looking at different pathways and looking at different possibilities, but it is predicated on Texas moving forward.
So our message is that we're going to let Californians figure out California. We're going to use every tool at our disposal in the state of Texas to confront this very illegal redistricting process that is going to be done on the backs of historic African American and Latino districts. So we were coming to share the state of play in the state of Texas, but we have no influence, nor do we want to even suggest how California should proceed. We leave that in the capable hands of Governor Newsom.
Obviously, Governor Newsom just said, I was going to ask you, Representative Texas led the law is there any form breaking on the table because it's not enough worked out in 2021? Now they're threatening to fine you if you break quorum. Is that something that you're considering doing? Is that a tool to block this from happening? The governor seems, Governor Abbott, that he is absolutely.
Well, we'll see. I'm hearing from a lot of my Republican colleagues that they're concerned on two fronts. Number one, the precedent that this sets for them, all right? And number two, they're worried about cutting districts too thin in the state of Texas for their congressional delegation. So those things are present, and those are part of the discussions in the process. We, as Democrats, are going to use every tool in our toolbox to fight this unlawful redistricting. Now, we have done that in a number of different forums. We have filed suit successfully, I might add, on many different occasions, and the state of Texas has had to redo maps in the past. You will recall that we're currently in federal court in El Paso doing the same, and we have a 3-judge panel in El Paso where we just completed the trial. So every tool is on the table, and we plan on fighting in multiple fronts.
Yeah, look, I can't answer that. We're just looking at the process. We're looking at different pathways to advance that process. There are no maps that have been drawn. There's no sort of inside knowledge I have on that basis. This is a fluid conversation that frankly came in reaction to the phone call from Donald Trump to Greg Abbott in Texas and the break the glass moment we're in. And look, this is existential. This is real life. Everything's on the line here. It's not a gross exaggeration. I feel that in my bones. Again, how could I not, as someone who was an advocate for that independent redistricting years and years ago? This is a critical moment, and so look, we're looking at 3 or 4 different pathways as it relates to the when and the how. And I say 3 or 4, it's not just a legislative pathway, it's which legislative pathway. It's not just direct democracy as it relates to a special election and a ballot, but it's what you put on the ballot and what's considered, what's not considered. So all of that is happening in a very fluid way. There's just component parts of each. What exactly are you putting forward? Are you putting out the maps? Are you creating a process that unfolds after? What's the exact question you're trying to answer? What are you trying to achieve? For how long a period are you trying to achieve it? There are many different questions that are being considered, and we're gaming all those things out. I just want folks to know we have been gaming them out. We are committed to this process. This is not a bluff. This is real, and it's made, trust me, more real after listening to these leaders today, how existential this is. I think there's, I'm told, my understanding is there's multiple polls that are out there independent of this process, meaning our process directly. So I think a lot of people are asking that question. I don't know about anything as relates to IDs or anything like that, but there are a lot of different public polls being done. I imagine some of your organizations may be doing them as well. I have not had the privilege or opportunity to review any poll as it relates to this question yet, and I look forward to seeing where the public is based, and I'll end on this and let these guys get back home. The anecdotal response is off the charts. People understand what's at stake. There's clarity and understanding, and increasingly you're seeing that across the country. I want to thank their colleagues that also visited with other governors today, J.B. Pritzker among them. You have other governors that are also expressing not just private concern, now increasingly expressing public concern. They understand what's at stake if these guys rig the game. They play by a different set of rules. And we can sit back and act as if we have some moral superiority and watch this 249, almost 250-year experiment be washed away. We are not going to allow that to happen. We have agency. We can shape the future. And that's what this conversation today was all about. Thank you guys very, very much. Thank you.